Untitled Light. I'm Adolphina Shephard. This is my co-host Thomas Knights Templar. We have a whole lot to share with you today, so we hope you're ready and have a pen and paper. You know, we've told you before each time on the show that we were going to teach you many things you've never heard of. And we've done that so far, haven't we?
Well, it's not going to be traditional Christianity or any other religion.
Right. And we've also told you you're going to hear higher knowledge because we both have the gift of prophetic knowledge. And so when we get recent messages for you to hear, like for instance tonight, Jesus has a recent message he wants to share with you towards the end of the show once we get through the healing technique. And tonight's show is one of the most important techniques you're ever going to learn to do, so please follow along closely. It's called cookie and scan disc. And yes, that's right. It's just like, almost like our bodies are robotic, and that we have been programmed. We have programs that run our mind and our bodies and our hearts. And I'll explain a little bit about this because I know this is probably quite confusing to you, but think about this. When you have a baby, when you're a child, and a baby learns to cry, well, that's a program that's telling that baby cry to get the attention you need.
I used to think it was the dirty diaper.
The dirty diaper, well, see, that's when they're crying. The diaper is dirty, or I'm hungry, Ma, I'm hungry, you see.
I'll tell my wife that, you change it.
Yeah, all you men got away with that in that generation.
I did my own stuff.
Yeah, but not today. You wouldn't get away with that.
No, not today.
Not today. And I hope the grandbabies,
and they're so girly today.
Oh, I hope your son-in-law does the diaper thing.
He does. I got to say one thing. He's a good father, and he's right on top of the baby all the time.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
It is for him. Yes, it's very good.
Anyway, getting back to the subject matter, so then when you're an infant, you know, you have to learn how to crawl and then walk and so forth. And these are all programs, so it continues your entire lifetime. When you're a child to infant to teenager to young adult to older adult. And so these are all programs that your body is programmed to run. Your program is is programmed to beat and so forth like that. And these are all programs that are really necessary. But there's other programs such as in each lifetime, before we incarnate, we come in to learn something and to further our soul's evolution. Well, you know, a lot of people don't know that because they took out the reincarnation in the Bible. But you know what? The first time I read the Bible, I found a psalm in there that referred to reincarnation. And you know, I haven't found it yet, but one day I'm going to find it again. But anyway, you know, they put that in there. They took reincarnation out of the Bible because they wanted to control the people, the church and the state. And so if you were going to be born again, you weren't going to hell.
Well, it's like I always said, I told you, I said, you'll never really have a close relationship or a personal relationship with God in any organized religion because they're going to do everything to keep you under their control.
That's right, and that's what the priests did. They kept you under control. And even the Pope came out a couple of years ago and said there's no such thing as hell, right?
It's none of that, but you know, really, when you think you just have to go to confession before you went and received the host. Okay, and then they said, oh, you say 7 Hail Marys and 13 Our Fathers and promise not to do it again. I mean, how do you denominate with numbers how many things you could say to be absolved by sin?
Right, that's right.
So really, I used to sit there and, okay, please.
I know, that's organized religion. It's just the tradition that people were used to. And, you know, we have to get away from that because religion has in many ways separated us.
It's stunted our growth in faith.
Yeah, because this person's Muslim, this person's Jewish, this person's Hindu, this person's Christian. You know, it's really only one God, right?
It is, and under all those religions and under all the books of those religions, the Quran, the Torah, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, it all preaches love.
Right. And that
love is the message of the whole thing, okay? And it doesn't ever say that when God created the world, he created the separations of the denominations. It always says that God created the world and all was good.
Right, and you know what? We do have to start focusing more on the things that bind people together. Like you say, with love, for instance, and love your brother as yourself, instead of the things that separate us, right?
That's the truth.
But anyway, I lost my train of thought. Where were we going with this? Okay.
Scan. Scan
Oh
disc.
yeah, the scan disc, I know. So, okay, so here's where I was going with telling you about the reincarnation thing. So, meanwhile, let's say in a lifetime, you were programmed to have a car accident. And this car accident was going to lead you to your soul's evolution, to awaken, right? Well, if this is not removed, it's almost like a computer virus. That means you're going to keep having accidents over and over again.
You learned that lesson.
Yeah, well, not only then, but the programs don't just die. They're still there, and they keep running over and over and over again.
Well, it'll repeat itself. Anytime you empower a thought, you know, I don't want to have another accident, you're actually empowering it. So if you empower it, it's going to happen over and over again.
And people have thousands of these things, thousands. Let's say you're an old soul and you have 3,000 lives. How many programs and cookies and, you know, things like that could you possibly have?
I'd have to weigh a couple of 1,000 pounds with all the cookies.
Well, you got that right. I'll tell you that. It would be the truth. But there are also things called implants and devices and cords. And the cords are key also. You've heard of cords before, right?
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea to put that picture up of the cords right now so that people can understand what we're talking about. In the control room, please. And basically, each and every time you meet a person, even if you're talking about correcting a problem with someone in India, you know, you're talking to this person, you got like a cord connected to this person now. It's like a spider web. And it emanates from your heart. Here you go, right here. You see the picture? It emanates from your heart and it goes into the other person's heart. That's where they come from. And these cords never dissolve. So every person you've met from the time you were an infant in the hospital, from the doctors, the nurses, kindergarten, every person you've ever met in the grocery store, every single person you've had contact with, you get one of these. Now, it starts out as a spider web, but it grows very big for people you love.
AT&T.
No, not AT&T, but you're funny, Tommy. So, but the people you're close to, your loved ones, husband, wife, children, grandparents, and so forth, that will get very, very thick like a cord. And what eventually happens is, as you get thousands and thousands of these cords,
You're way down.
it will strangle your heart. You can remove that picture now. I think people have the idea there. And so as soon as that's removed, I'll give you a little illustration. The cords are really something because you can get congestive heart failure, you can get swollen legs and arms, you can get all type of heart problems from those cords because let's just say if this is this is your heart and you have thousands of cords coming out it, and if my heart's kind of flexible and it's a sponge and it keeps wrapping over and over and over again, eventually it contorts the heart and the heart can't beat properly. And so people wind up having heart challenges, and especially if you see people that are short of breath, people who are swollen, you know, what they call congestive heart failure. Many times if you just cut these cords, the ones that are not for your highest good, you don't want to cut those of your loved ones and so forth, but only those that are not for your highest good.
These are not the same cords that are used in astral travel, though. These are
no, that's the silver cord.
Those are heartstrings.
Yes, there are strings that enable us to come back to our bodies when we astral travel and go visit God and everything at night. That's different because we need a way to get back. That's kind of like a homing cord, those cords you're talking about. But these cords, just the sheer weight of them. Now, not only do they strangle your heart, but also, like if I have a cord to you and you're a really evil guy, well,
I am?
No, I'm just saying if you were.
Oh.
That stuff can actually come through the cords. And also, when you, like if you have thousands of these cords and you're depressed, guess what? A lot of times it's not even your depression. It's the depression that you might feel from people you're connected to. Or if there's a lot of anger over things. Like right now, the government is in that shutdown mode, for instance. People are upset about that. So if you have a lot of cords that are connected to you, you might be feeling upset even though you don't follow politics, you don't follow nothing. It's just a collective. With all these different people that you're connected to, you could be upset, you see.
So what are you recommending, to cut these cords?
Yeah, all the cords that aren't for your highest good need to be cut. And then immediately, oh my God, I remember a client I had. He was mature. His wife had been a student of mine, and he couldn't breathe. He was very short of air. And so he came to see us, and we cut all the cords. And within minutes, he reported he could breathe twice, 3, 4 times better than he had been able to breathe previously. And that was just from that one technique.
So, in other words, if you're a real people person, like a person who meets people all day long, you've got a problem.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you're younger, it's not as bad, but as you get older, you've met so many more thousands of people each year. I mean, geez, I can't even think how many people you meet when you even go out to do errands, for instance. Mm-hmm. Let's say you go to the grocery store, you know, you go to the pharmacy, you go to the food market, you know, you stop in, pick up medicine for the cat or whatever, you know, already right there, you've probably talked to half a dozen people, right?
And then you made a new cord.
In one day. So, you know, we told you we were going to bring you restoration, right? Who wants to have restoration, right? Who wants rejuvenation? Everybody wants rejuvenation, right?
Yeah.
So, this is, you're at the right place at the right time. So this is one of the things we're going to do tonight. Now, we've been talking about the cords, but there's other ones that are very, very important too. And some of them, we were talking about these cookies, for instance. These cookies, some of them need to be encapsulated. And I guess the way to think of it is, if you don't ask for your angels and God and Jesus and whoever you're working with to encapsulate these cookies, then it's almost like it develops a virus that would kill your computer. Now, I doubt it would kill your body, but it could cause you some problems.
Probably so, yeah.
It could cause you some problems. So that's very key, to never forget to do that, to encapsulate any cookies or implants or whatever needs to be encapsulated. So, you know, because they can release a virus. And there's just so many different things.
But being encapsulated, you're just saying that they're being insulated against any type of removal?
Yeah, like for instance, picture kind of like a bubble. Mm-hmm. Like you're going to ask your angels to encapsulate any cookies or implants or programs that need to be encapsulated ahead of time. And I picture it kind of like a bubble going around that. Okay. It's clear just so that it's intact.
Why are you supposed to have them removed?
Yeah, and because then it can release the virus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you want to have the ones that need it to be encapsulated. That's very important. And also these things can also, I've heard about that some of these things can actually be used for mind control. You read so much and hear so much about mind control going on, right?
Chemtrails.
And, oh yeah, well, we hear about that. Now that's not a mind control issue, but that's another issue that I'm not thrilled with.
Makes the clouds really pretty, you know? Anyway.
Aluminum and barium, I hear, is in them. Aluminum and barium. So, and then, you know, we also have one of the things we want to talk about is the devices, because these are a totally different thing.
The Morpheus?
No, although that's part of it, but that's not something that we're talking about right now. Okay. But like for instance, let's say you were a soldier in the Civil War or whatever war, or wherever, and you died. Somebody stabbed you with a sword, mm-hmm. And well, in the etheric world, that sword is still there.
Okay.
Yeah, so until you remove that sword, it's still there. So sometimes, you know, have you ever heard, and I'm sure many people have heard of people that have a pain somewhere that they can't find. They can't find a reason for it. There's always something wrong with somebody that you know that people call them a hypochondriac. But maybe they have a pain here, they have a pain here, wherever, but there's no diagnosis.
Of course there's a diagnosis, fibromyalgia.
Well, that's something, that's
what they label everything every time when you get a pain they can't explain. They put these people on all sorts of drugs. I feel sorry for them.
It could be in part this, it really could be, you know, but there are things. So then you have that sword. Now also I've run across, another example would be, I've run across a lot of people, and I used to be like this myself, who couldn't stand to wear a turtleneck or even this necklace I have on.
I can't do it either.
Yeah, you can't stand that?
I can't stand anything close to my neck. If I have a turtleneck like that, I buy them and I go like this.
Yeah.
I yank them so they hang down like loose. I can't stand anything on my neck.
Well, you know, in the days when they were trying to get rid of the divine feminine, the women of wisdom, you know, and men too, of course, the ancient healers who were herbalists, you know, who were laying on of the hands, who were massage, anything that was a natural modality, you know, they burned all those people at the stake as witches. So etherically, a lot of those people have a big noose around their neck. They hung them and they burned them, you know. So
you think I might have been a little barbecue?
You might have been hung because of the neck thing. And
that just started over, I'd say, the last like 5 years.
Huh? Isn't that interesting? Well, I wonder if you suddenly got something like that etherically, but
maybe I was sleeping, I got hung.
I don't know.
Hung, what happened? Oh, she's not here. You know.
But this is very, very true. I know people like that myself. I used to be like that, and I've done so much of this work.
I always do that. I always do my clear all past life connections. I always clear everything. I do it all the time.
But the connections are not a device. You know, a connection would be assumed to be a connection to another person.
Well, something that in a past life that could be affecting somebody now. This person's scared to go in the pool because in the past life they drowned.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So I get rid of that stuff. I don't want to carry that with me in this life. You know, but,
you know, and that's true. And there's so many people afraid to drive over bridges. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, I know a few.
I do too.
You know.
And then, you know, I also have a girlfriend who she's afraid to have a fireplace on, have her coal stove on, even to the point of cooking. To her, a hot stove in the back of her subconscious means fire. So I'm certain she was burned at the stake, you know, I don't, you know, what type of healer or whatever she was doing.
Needs to live in Alaska.
Oh, no, you mean she needs to live in a warmer climate. She don't need to turn on anything
like
hot.
Cold.
Well, yeah, but you still need warming elements.
Okay.
You know, she'd freeze to death for
Whatever
sure
happens,
there.
you get hot flashes, you know? She's
I
going
don't
to
know.
explode in combustion. Yeah. Done. Okay. Excuse me, that was crazy.
Oh, that's all right, I know. And then, for instance, have you ever met anybody who can't move forward in their life? Mm-hmm. Well, when I've worked in the past with people like this, whoops, losing my mic here.
I like when they always make excuses for why they can't.
Well, you know
That's the best, you know. They make excuses for why they can't go forward instead of saying, no more excuses, I will go forward. Instead of empowering the positive thought, they go right to the negative. And they just keep on encompassing themselves with the same problem over and over again. And the only person they have to blame, they should blame themselves and not blame God. Why does God hate me? Why does this, that? And it's baloney. You're doing it to yourself. You're empowering a negative thought, and every day you feed it, and you feed it, and you feed it. And when you keep on getting stuff blow up in your face, who do you got to blame?
You know, I agree with you in the physical, but I'll tell you what, I have actually seen people with stakes through their feet, etherically, as a device, so that they can't walk forward. I've actually seen shackles around people's knees and around their ankles. It's like etherically they are in bondage. As much as they want to try to step forward, somehow they're just unable, but yet you get rid of those shackles around their feet, take those stakes out, they can move forward. But see, the thing is because it's so difficult to find, and well, first of all, you have to know that it exists. Most people don't know these things exist because they're invisible.
They hear you talking. They think you're talking a foreign language because you're seeing things that they never heard before.
Right, of course. But the thing is, you know, eventually they will be able to see these things as well. And all of my previous students, just from going along with the coursework, they eventually do become all clairvoyant so that they can see with their third eye these things. Everybody's born with these gifts. It's a question of honing them and releasing things that keep them back from having these wonderful gifts that God gave us all. So I know, but first you have to be able to conceive of it. First you have to know that it exists, and then you have to be able to visualize it, and then you have to do the work to get it removed so that you can rejuvenate yourself and move forward in life and have your soul evolution.
You realize that the average person who is not particularly religious is listening to all of this and thinking that, you know, what is she talking about? Because they don't know that it's something that wasn't indoctrinated into them through their religion. I mean, if this would have been taught to them when they were children, just like they had to learn, like, you know, who is Jesus, who is this one, who's that one, all right, then we wouldn't be at this point right now.
Well, you're right, because, you know, there's really nothing new under the sun, and these are all methods that Jesus Christ himself used. And many of the techniques, most of the techniques, I've been given by Jesus, you know, the Christ. So these are things that he used himself in his walk. And remember, what was Jesus? We got to think about that. I mean, he was not only God in the flesh, but he was also a healer and a teacher. And what was one of the primary things he did that we've talked about this before? 76 times in the Bible he cast out spirits.
Cast out demons, yeah.
But does anybody ever stop to think, oh, he did that 76 times. It's the only thing that he ever did 76 times. Don't you think he's trying to tell us something? That we need to do this too?
There's plenty of that on this world.
So, you know, so these are all things, and I do understand that people don't understand it, but we all need, in order to grow our soul, these are things we need to do. And, you know, it's unbelievable when I found out myself, I was so shocked that the average person has about 500,000 cookies, programs, devices that need to be removed.
They're bombarded by television all day long, too. You know, and what do you think those subliminal messages and stuff is coming to them? You
know, you're probably right. I hadn't thought about that, but that's probably true.
I mean, look at the kid. They said the average kid sees something like 13,000 murders by the time he's 15, I think it is, or 13.
So, right. So then they think it's okay to go out and murder somebody.
And all these games they play, they're full of violence and shooting people and blowing people's heads off, and people who are like known. I heard one of the games has that guy from Facebook, Zuckerman, whatever his name, and they blow his head off. I mean, come on, what kind of stuff is this?
Yeah, you know what, this is a form of programming, of mind control, to teach people to become more violent, to be desensitized to murder and so forth. And really, we need to wake up with that. We should not allow our children to have access to this stuff.
They call child abuse and all these other things. Isn't that a form of child abuse, by putting your kid and subjecting them to hours upon hours of this?
I know. And you know what? I just signed a petition about, did you know there was actually a game where it teaches people to torture animals? I'm like, I was horrified. I'm like thinking, these poor little innocent animals, you know? So definitely all this has to stop. This can't be allowed on planet Earth anymore. Forget that, you know?
No. We have a country that's become desensitized, that's had things that are morally wrong thrown in our face, okay, and forced to have to accept it in order to be politically correct.
Well, too many people are still unawakened, and you know, part of this, this is one of the things that will also assist in not only giving better health and restoration, because some of these things are meant to harm us, and by removing them, especially like the virus type things, it will improve people's health, because these things won't occur. You won't keep having that same accident over and over and over again, you know? So, you know, we need to have these type of things removed.
So we're going to have health care from God.
Health care from God. In fact, I had an illustration, but I don't know if it was good enough to show.
They're going to call it, oh, Jesus care?
It says, no, it says, type amen if Jesus is your healer. I thought that was a darling.
I saw that. I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah, that's where I got it from, Facebook. I thought it was great. So these are some of the things we're going to be doing. Now, So one of the things, as you know, if you've been following along with our program, which we're building step by step, much like you build a foundation, if you've been following along in the first show, we taught you how to cast out spirits. Because like I told you before, Jesus came in to show us the way. What was the thing he did 76 times in the Bible? He cast out spirits. So that's one of the things we taught you. We also taught you how to see and feel a spiritual body. So if you're just catching this program for the first time, go back and start watching episode 1, 2, 3, 4, because you might be a little lost if you haven't been following along.
Tell them where they can find it.
Yeah, well, you can get it on YouTube, of course, and also on our station here, but I do believe they only play the current month. So on show 2, we taught you a method of discernment called holographic scanning, that you're actually working with your angels, because it's your angels who put up the image for you to feel, so that you can actually feel. And that's a great method of discernment, because most people haven't honed their psychic gifts. They can't see with their third eye. No. And most people haven't developed clairvoyant hearing unless they've done this work. So it's a way to teach everybody how to do this work until they can hone these gifts. So you remember, we taught that. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yep.
And then the third one, we taught you how to clear, balance, and align your chakras. And in each one of these episodes, we also, of course, cast out any spirits not for your highest good. And we're going to do it tonight again, too. So now today, this technique, we're first going to do the casting out prayer, which I also call energetic hygiene in my book here, YTVY, the manual, How to Perform Miraculous Healing, because this whole series is based on this book. And but the first thing we do, and why do we do it? And I'll tell you a quote, a psalm for it, Ephesians 6:12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Mm-hmm. That's part of the armor of God.
Yeah, yeah. So, people, they read the Bible, but they don't really understand it.
Because what they're reading, they're taking it at the word and not receiving it in the spirit.
Right, exactly.
Okay, when you Bible taught in other churches other than Catholic Church gives you snippets.
Right, little
they
tiny
give you little
snippets.
And
really, only the priests know how to cast out spirits.
Well, please.
This should be learning for everybody.
Everybody should know how to protect themselves, number one. Number two is you're never going to have a personal relationship with God being closed off like that.
Right.
They're good to bring you spiritually to have a connection, but they are not allowing you to have your own personal connection with God.
Oh, sure, because you go confess to the priest.
Because they can't control you.
Well, that's true.
They can't take denomination from you, money. All right, so that's what it is. That's what really pushed me out of that, is the total reliance on. There's constant donations for everything. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying we shouldn't donate and we shouldn't help. But
well,
please.
Who's the richest corporation in the world? It's the Vatican, isn't it?
Yeah.
And with all their gold chairs and gold thrones and thousands and probably millions of dollars worth of art, I think they should sell that to feed the hungry, don't you?
Wouldn't that be Christian of them?
That would be Christian of them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you won't see that happen.
So, these are all thoughts for consideration. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do a casting out or energetic hygiene prayer. And if you've been following along, you should be feeling a lot lighter in spirit already. And have you been following along with also every other Saturday of doing the other work that we've asked you to do with the calendar that we put on my website for you to access?
Give them the website.
Yes, it's www.adolphinashephard,